tonight, and we are honored to have with us Dr. Alveda King. She is the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., daughter of late civil rights activist Reverend A.D. King and his wife Naomi Barber King. She grew up in the civil rights movement. She sees the pro-life movement as a continuation of the civil rights struggle. And as part of that, she is affiliated with several organizations, pastoral associate for Priests for Life. She is director of African American Outreach. And she also has, you find her, the organization she's affiliated with, the website is priestsforlife.org. You can also find her on Twitter at Alveda King. She's got a new book that just came out 4 days ago, King Truce. She'd had a previous book called King's Rule. This one, the new one that came out just 4 days ago, is King Truce. And I wanted to talk to Dr. King because just this last week, she's involved in a lot of different projects. She's involved as one of the producers of Roe v. Wade, the movie. And as they were promoting that and crowdfunding for that, it's got a lot of people associated with it, people like John Voight, people like Stephen Baldwin. And as they were promoting that on Facebook, they got censored. They blocked the crowdfunding site for Roe v. Wade, the movie. And now they're saying they're going to unblock it. So I wanted to get an update on that. I wanted to get her to tell us about Roe v. Wade, the movie, as well. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Alveda King.
David, thank you for this opportunity. And I'm so grateful to be working with friends and colleagues on the Roe v. Wade movie. Nick Loeb is the producer, executive producer. He called and he said, would you come alongside as an executive producer? I've been in the movie and entertainment industry for over 40 years. People don't know that. When I was younger, I was even in Burt Reynolds' Sharky's machine, believe it or not. And that was great, and North and South and all of that. And I produce now for civil rights for the unborn. We have PFL TV, and I produce content for that as well. So I'm a Fox News contributor. So all of it kind of ties together. Everybody says, well, why is she moving around in the movie industry? So it's a natural for me. However, we were very disappointed when Facebook censored our crowdfunding effort. That was just not right, in my opinion. So we did push back. And sometimes we don't push back enough, and that's why sometimes our message is kind of stifled because we don't know how to push back.
Have they unblocked it now? The last I saw, they said they will unblock it. Have they done that yet?
To a certain extent, it has been unblocked, but there are still little glitches, and people may try to pick it up and get it. And we have some great allies who are pushing it through their own Facebook networks, and we're finding that some of their efforts are beginning to be blocked a little bit. So it's just a battle, site by site, Facebook page by Facebook page. We have to keep fighting right now.
Tell people where they can find this, because this is something that I'm sure a lot of people would like to see made. This is a very important story. We'll talk about the story and why it is so important to look at the story of Roe v. Wade. It's a very interesting true life story. But tell people first where they can find information about the movie, where they can participate in crowdfunding for the movie if they want to do that.
Well, as you kind of just go on and Google me, Alveda King, Roe v. Wade, the movie, and you're going to get to a link there that will allow you to participate by praying for us, also helping us to fund the movie. And we want you to know, as viewers and listeners here on Infowars, this is the true story behind the legislation that allowed abortion or the killing of little babies in the womb to be legal. They picked a woman, Norma McCorvey, and gave her a pseudonym, and that's where you get Roe v. Wade. And Norma McCorvey has passed on now, but she said she was Roe no more. She didn't even abort her baby. She had her baby.
That's what a lot of people don't realize. That's the amazing story of Norma McCorvey, because she was used by these people to run through their agenda. She did not have the abortion. Then she became a Christian and a very outspoken opponent of abortion, very pro-life, didn't she?
She became all of that, but the media wouldn't cover that because they needed to still keep that illusion that it was okay to abort a baby. So it's unfortunate that we are up against those obstacles, but we are not letting that deter us. So we've got our ads at Indiegogo, INDIEGOGO. And so you can go over there, Roe v. Wade, the movie at Indiegogo is one place you can go. You can Google me, Roe v. Wade, the movie as well. So it's just what I am trying to ask people to do is to, when Facebook blocks you, refuses to let you get your positive message out, push back. Don't accept that. It's not good.
That's right. And the other part of this is, as you point out in the promotion for this on Indiegogo, you say you open the movie with how it all began. It started with a woman named Margaret Sanger. Her approach was to reduce the growth of the African American population in our country. And, we've been to abortion protests, and get a picture of this sign, guys. We had this sign here, a black baby. The top, the real war on blacks is abortion. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And that is very true, and that is a truth. That's another truth.
They should matter in the womb. Black lives should also matter in the womb.
That's right. That's right.
Come on now.
Absolutely. And at the heart of this, Ms. King, Dr. King, is the whole issue of personhood, isn't it? That's how these things are tied with the civil rights movement. It's the issue of, is this a person? Originally in our Constitution, they said black people aren't a full person. Then they didn't treat them like full persons. And now they're saying the same thing about babies in the womb, white and black, that they're not persons.
Well, my cousin, Isaac Newton Ferris Jr., who made a big splash in the news recently by refusing to say that President Donald John Trump is a racist. Isaac said he's not a racist. And Isaac has just released another piece explaining exactly that. When you have to declassify a human being and say that the human being is not a human being, it is less than he or she is less than human, and then that gives you the excuse to do these horrible things against us, like the abortions now in this century and all of that. So when we declassify a human being and make that human being less than human, Isaac's word is subhuman, then that's when you see all of these kinds of efforts. And it's with great misunderstanding, because people really don't understand where the war is today. And that's why I like Infowars, because you're letting us tell the story. I really appreciate that opportunity.
Well, we want you to tell that story. That is an amazing, the story of Roe v. Wade, the story of how we came to murder tens of millions of children over the last 45 years is a story that has to be heard. And so much of that has been spun and lied and covered up by the mainstream media. It's very important for this movie to be made. Again, they've got big name stars like Jon Voight. Stephen Baldwin is also in that, and this tells the real story about how it began, how they pulled the wool over people's eyes with the Supreme Court, what happened with the woman who...
I'm dusting off my actress hat, and I'm going to be the mother of Dr. Mildred Jefferson, the first black woman to graduate from Harvard Medical School, who dedicated her whole life for the cause of the babies in the womb. So I get to be mama in the movie as well.
So you're going to be in there again, acting again, as you point out. You've acted.
I'm doing a cameo. It's a cameo, but yeah.
That's great. Well, that's great. Listen, this is very important. As I said, it's so important that Facebook wanted to shut down the crowdsourced funding for that. So this is a way that you can stick it in the face of Facebook. Take a look. Again, Google Dr. Alveda King and look up this movie, Roe v. Wade, and you'll find a way that you can support them in this effort. This movie really does need to be made, and you can find Dr. King on Twitter at Alveda King, also on priestsforlife.org. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. King.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.